All right, so for the first of our 7 factions, we start with the Rebel Alliance ship points, and this again is that 50-point system that the X-Wing Alliance just rolled out for X-Wing miniatures. For the community-supported X-Wing 2.0, 2.5, it's 2.5, excuse me, the current community-supported version of the game. The Rebel Alliance, starting with the ASF-01 B-Wing, we've got Adon Fox, the Battle over Endor um, standard loadout, is coming in at 12 cost. Braylon Strom Battle over Endor is 13. Braylon Strom Custom is 12, so you get a point off if you take the custom. And he's sitting at 10 loadout. Um, and then in terms of slots, I don't think I'm going to read those out. I will read those when there are changes. These, I believe, are pretty. I don't think the slots were actually changed in the latest update. So I'm going to go ahead and not talk about those. We'll talk just about the value and then the loadout value. So Gina Moonsong, the standard loadout Battle over Endor, comes in at 16, and then Gina Moonsong Custom comes in at 11 with 10 loadout. So custom Gina Moonsong is down there for like the cheapest pilots in the B wing. So that's pretty impressive. Then Harris and Dula coming in the I6 B wing ace coming in at 15 with 21 loadout. So she's the only one that really has what some would call meaningful loadout. Till we get to the bottom there, we'll see. Netrim Pollard, the custom is 10 squad points and then 10 loadout. So competing for that budget slot. And these things have cannons, torpedoes, missiles, and systems. So it's gonna be really fast to fill up those 10 loadout values. So that's interesting. So I've seen some builds with Hera. It's cool to see Hera kind of unleashed a little bit. I really love to see Hera in the B wing because you don't see it very often. Um, the 15 is pretty steep, even for the 21 loadout. But then we've got 10 Num coming in at 11 with 8 loadout. Yikes. Then we've got the Blade Squadron Veteran Generic coming in at 12 with 16 loadout. That is the second highest loadout in the chassis. And then the Blue Squadron Pilot, the base generic coming in at 10 squad cost, and then LV of 8. And so you've got a couple 10 cost pilots, the generic, and then one of the named pilots comes in at 10, and then you've got 2 additional loadout points if you take Netrim Pollard over the Blue Squadron Pilot, but then you've got the initiative change, and then Netrim's ability, of course, and initiative. Seems fine. Yeah, we'll keep going. So then we've got the ARC 170, the Rebel ARC 170. We've got Garvin Dryce at 12 cost with 15 loadout. We've got Ibtisam, who I've said wrong forever. I threw another I in there. With 11 cost and 12 LV. Nora Wexley herself at 13 cost and 16 LV. And then Shara Bay coming in with 12 squad points and 17 loadout value. Yeah, I don't have much to say about that one. Then we've got the attack shuttle Ezra Bridger coming in at 9 with 6 LV. Um, yeah, 6, that's tight, but I mean, it's cheap. Then we've got Hera coming in again at 10 with 12 loadout value. Sabine at 10 squad points with 13 loadout value. And then Zeb coming in 8 squad points at the cheapest at 6 loadout value. Just a quick recap here. So the cheapest of the B-Wings is either Netrim Pollard named custom or the Blue Squadron Pilot generic, both at 10. And then your most expensive B-Wing is again going to be Hera at, or no, excuse me, Gina, the Battle over Endor Gina at 16. Yikes, she's in jail. And then you've got for the ARC 170, cheapest is going to be Ibtisam, the custom, and then the most expensive is of course Nora Wexley, which makes sense. Her ability makes her very durable. And then yeah, we'll go ahead and talk about it. So cheapest attack shuttle is going to be Zeb at 8. Most expensive is a tie between Sabine and Hera at 10 each. Then we got the Ozatuk, not going to do highest lowest because there's only 3 of them. Lorik coming in at 12 cost for 13 loadout value. Wolfwaro coming in at 13 cost and 14 loadout value. Um, and then I'm immediately concerned about this. You've got the Kashyyyk Defender at 11 with 9 loadout value. Only has 1 crew slot and 2 mod slots, but that's one I would watch because it's kind of an unfun play experience just because of the 180 attack arc and how durable those things are. No talent, no secondary attack, so it's not going to hit very hard, but they still can flood the board with cheap bodies. So it's a good generic to have. It's one that potentially could be problematic just because of like slow play, but that would be a very boring play style. So I don't know if it's going to be a problem. But all right, then we're on to the BTLA for Y-Wing. Dex Tyree, Battle of Yavin comes in at 9 squad points. Dutch Vander Battle of Yavin comes in at 10 squad points. Dutch Vander Gold Leader comes in at 11 squad points with 18 loadout. Nice healthy loadout for a Y-Wing. And we've got Dutch Vander Gold Leader, the starter Dutch standard loadout coming in at 9. And then we have Evan Verlaine Gold 3 Custom coming in at 8. So a very healthy 8 with only 7 loadout value, though. Then we've got Holoken, the Battle of Yavin, put in jail at 10, tied for the Battle of Yavin Dutch. We've got Horton Psalm at 9 with 12 loadout. And then we've got Horton Psalm, the starter pack, coming in at 9. And we've got Nora Wexley coming in at 12 with 20 loadout value. Dang. That Y-Wing is a very tanky Y-Wing. That's a lot of loadout. So there's a fun one. Then we got Pop's Krail Battle of Yavin coming in at 10. That's the standard loadout. And then Pop's Krail Custom coming in at 9 with 11 loadout. Gold Squadron Veteran Generic coming in at 9 with 13 loadout value. And the Gray Squadron Bomber, that base generic, coming in at 7 with 5 loadout value. And yeah, generics are back. That's there. Most expensive Y-Wing is going to be your Nora Wexley at 12, and your cheapest is going to, of course, be that Gray Squadron Bomber at 7. But the loadout there is different. Nora's 20, and the Gray Squadron Derricks is just that 5 loadout. Interesting. Then we've got the BTLS 8K Wing, bleh, cursed be thy name, Isegi Tuketu, coming in at 12 with 11 loadout value. Miranda Doney herself coming in at 12 with 13 loadout value. So those are the same squad cost. And then the Warden Squadron generic coming in at 11 with 12 loadout value. Um, none of them have access to a turret slot, so that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Then we've got the CR90 Corvette, the Epic at 32 for Ramus Antilles, the custom, or excuse me, the standard loadout. And then we've got the Alderanian Guard coming in at 36 with 40 LV. I don't know much about Epic, so I can't really read into that too much. Then we've got the E-Wing, Corin Horn coming in at 14 with 12 LV. Seems very reasonable, right in the middle of the cost spread. Gavin Darklighter coming in at 15 with 18 loadout. Then the Knave Squadron Escort coming in at 12 with 8 loadout. And the Rogue Squadron Escort coming in at 14 with 17 loadout. So second highest loadout by just a hair. Also tied for second highest cost on that Rogue Squadron Escort, which is interesting. Um, yeah, Ewing's are in a funny spot. Just to talk about this real quick, if you're looking at a 4-ship squad, each squad has to be around 12. I think 12 exactly, actually. So if you have a 12 cost pilot, you can do 5 of them. Um, no, that's the math is bad, excuse me. I believe you can do 4, yes. I'm gonna do the math on that just to make sure I have that for the future ones too, because I want to know what a 5, like where you shave the points to get 5 ships. And generally speaking, you're going to be looking at 4. So 50 is 10. Don't judge me on that short math. Yes, so if you are running 10 cost pilots, you can have 5. So you can kind of look at that and think, like, if this pilot is more than 10, that drops my ship count unless I shave some of the others down to below 10. Or you can do 4-ship lists. So looking at these, like the 14, 15, those are pushing you pretty aggressively towards a 3 to 4 ship squad. And you're going to be running up against smaller squads, so that's kind of fine. It's like 3-ship squads should come back, but that's definitely something to keep in mind. Where if you have 3 15-point pilots, you really only get 3, and you can't spend that last 5. Um, so you really want to use your expensive pilots wisely and really build a squad that's very particular about what you want to do, which I appreciate. I like that kind of tight squad building. Um, yeah, so I'm excited to play around with it some more. Then we've got the Rebel Fang Fighters. We've got Boudica coming in at 12 with 13 loadout value and a double talent. And we've got the Clan Ren Volunteer Generic coming in at 10 with 10 loadout. So you can do 5 Clan Ren Volunteers with some upgrades. I believe that is enough that you can still run. Let me actually double check this. I should know this too. I'm sorry, folks. So what I'm looking at is to see if the Clan Ren Volunteer has enough loadout to run multiple Mandalorian upgrades. And that's kind of the big thing here. So let's see. Yasby 2.0, and if I remember correctly, Beskar is still 6, but that's what I needed to check myself on. So we're looking at a Fang Fighter, and we are looking at, so 10 loadout, and we're looking at Beskar is 6, Optics are 3, and then Clan Training is 1. So you can run like that classic full Mando build where it's Clan Training, Mandalorian Optics, and Beskar. which I think is just kind of a cool, fluffy way to run them, and that's exactly 10. 6, 3, 1. Yeah, so that's cool. Then we've got Dirk Elodin coming in at 11 with 13 loadout, and they all have the double mod to do both optics and best score, and all of these pilots have enough loadout to do at minimum those three, and they also have talent slots as well. Then we've got Fen Rao, the Rebel Fen Rao, coming in at 13, which feels low, but sure. I already talked about kind of reducing the squad sizes. That does mean that counters to Fen will have a better time getting at Fen than Fen himself. It'd be tough to build a squad as thick as the ones we've seen up to now, and so Fen may not be as big of a problem potentially as he has been so far. All right, so then we got Fen, and he's got 10 loadout as well, so he can do that full Mando build, the Optics Beskar clan, but you probably want to do something else too. Then we got the GAR 3075 medium transport, the Trebor Zednem standard loadout is 19 cost, and then Echo Base Evacuees, the generic, is 23 cost with 25 loadout. Then we've got the Gauntlet Fighter Chopper. Of course, we've got the Gauntlet here. I love the Gauntlet, and I do believe we've seen Gauntlets unlocked. What's a little bit crazy on this? Man, I'm getting a lot of messages. Hang on. We'll check that in a second. So I'm looking at Chopper comes in at 16 cost with 18 loadout value. That 18 is low for a Gauntlet, but you can do a lot with that still. Then we've got Ezra Bridger coming in at 16 with 15 loadout. Then we have, yeah, okay. Then we've got the Mandalorian Resistance Pilot generic is single picked, so it's basically unique, is coming in at 15 cost with 20 loadout value. So highest loadout values on the generic and 1 point cheaper than the named pilots. And that's one that immediately stood out as like you can easily squeeze a 15-point gauntlet into a rebel list and make it a pretty nasty list. All right, and then we're looking at the Hawk 290. We've got Jan Ors coming in at 15 squad points with 15 loadout value. She's rightfully expensive because of the force multiplication she can do. You've got Kyle Katarn coming in at 11 with 10 loadout value, and then you have Orca Garnet coming in at 13 squad points and 12 loadout value. Those are pretty wild, and all three of them have the title. Then you lose the title and go straight down to the Rebel Scout, which is 7 squad cost. So that's where that dramatic drop in cost is. Um, so yeah, that's where that comes in. That's crazy. 7.5. 5 loadout isn't very much, but the Rebel Scout is still an interesting piece because you do have some interesting 5 cost crew you could throw on that and have just that 7 point very cheap Rebel Scout cruising around. I always like rooting for cheap Hawks because it's such a cool model. I like to see it kind of cruising around the map, getting up some objectives, but obviously the ones that have the title are dramatically better for gaining that 3-die front gun. And so they get the extra loadout to kind of encourage you to use them. Then we've got the modified YT 1300 light freighter, the Falcon. Chewbacca. Chewbacca coming in at 17 squad cost and 15 LV. Again, low for a ship that big with that many slots, but makes sense. Then Han Solo, the standard loadout, coming in at 18. And this is the Battle of Yavin standard loadout, excuse me, coming in at 18. Then we've got Han Custom coming in at 20 with 21 loadout. So double tap Han is still doable now in this loadout. I believe you can do the Bistan Receptive Copilot. I will check that because Bistan may be soft ban. Drop. I think Bistan is so expensive that you can't actually run him at all, let alone with other stuff. Let's see. So we're looking for the Falcon. We're looking at Han Solo, the expensive one, and then we're looking Gunner Bistan. Bistan is 16. Okay, so no, I don't think you can do that. Okay, so that's soft band. So Bistan is soft band. You can still do some interesting, quirky stuff, but so they got rid of double tap Han. Fat Han is still a completely legit thing. You can put a lot on there in 21 loadout. It's funny, I say 15 is low, 21 is high. There's a lot you can do with those extra 6 points. And then we've got Lando, Battle Over Endor, one of my favorite pilots ever made for the entire game, coming in at 18. Love it. Which is cool. Does all kinds of stuff. Then Lando Custom coming in at 19 with 20 loadout. And we've got Leia Organa coming in at 18 with 16 loadout. And then the Outer Rim Smuggler Generic, 16 with 13 loadout. Okay, so far I believe our most expensive pilot in the entire faction is that 20 for Han Solo. I don't think anything else is higher than that. All right, and then the RC-1 A-Wing. It's a long list. Brace yourself, folks. And then we're almost done with Rebels. Looking at Ahsoka Tano custom, I think she's only custom, is 12 cost with 12 loadout value. Double force slot you can do with that. And that 12 loadout is very reasonable for what you get with Ahsoka. 12 is expensive for an A-Wing, but she's like really strong. Then you've got Arvel, Battle over Endor is 10. Arvel, Green Leader, Custom is 9 with 7 loadout. And then Arvel, standard loadout from Starter Pack Arvel is 8 with 0 loadout, of course. So that 8 cost Arvel is not bad. It's not great, it's not bad. You've got Derek Clivian coming in at 9 with 12 loadout. Gemmer Sojin coming in at, or Battle over Endor Gemmer coming in at 9. Then you've got Hera coming in at 12 with 15 loadout, very healthy loadout again. Um, and yeah, 12 is not bad for an I6 A-Wing with a bunch of loadout. That's a fun piece. She does have a missile as well. Then you've got Jake Farrell. The custom is 11 with 16 loadout, and then Jake starter pack is 10. Then you've got Keo Venzi is 10 with 12 loadout and still has that one force. Well, has a force upgrade slot. Ooh, interesting. Then you've got Sabine, who's the most underrated pilot in the game, coming in at 8 with 4 loadout value, which is still enough for Optics Clan. She really doesn't need Beskar because she kind of has it. She's got Concordia built in and has the shields. Yeah, so I really love running her with Optics Beskar and just using her as like a blocker base. But yeah, Sabine coming in at 8 with 4 loadout. Shara Bay coming in at 9 with 10 loadout, and then Shara Bay standard loadout coming in at 8. So you got some quite a few 8-point pilots to pick from here, like a lot. And if you're going down to 8, you can really pack in a list. You could do a lot of A-wings in a list with something big or just more A-wings. Um, then we've got Tycho standard loadout Battle over Endor is coming in at 11, and then Tycho Custom coming in at 11 with 15 loadout. Notably lost his cannon slot. Rip. Then we got Wedge. Um, Baby Wedge coming in at 11 with 16 loadout, another one of my favorite pieces. Those two are some of my favorites to run with Sabine. I love the triple A-Wing, but 11 a pop is going to be a lot for both Tycho and Wedge. So that 3 squad did get a little bit less appealing. But what I love about that is if I'm looking at a 5 squad list with 10 cost each, that is the one on each of those is exactly what I need to have Sabine, Tycho, Wedge coming in at 10 points each if you spread the cost across all three. So the 3 of them is still the same as running 3 10-point ships. Then we get the Green Squadron generic with 9 squad points and 9 loadout, and then the Phoenix Squadron pilot with 7 squad points and 1 loadout. One just seems mean. Like it has a mod slot and a missile slot. I don't think there's anything it can do with either of those with 1 point. Because I mean, you can get stuff to you can get munitions failsafe on the thing with 1 for mod, but it doesn't do anything. So you're just looking at your 1-point talents, which is a short list. So the Phoenix Squadron pilot is a nice cheap ship coming in at 7, but probably better off bumping to 8 for something. All right, and then we're looking. Oh, there's more. Excuse me. No, this is the Sheathipede. Okay, so the Sheathipede, um, the backup Phantom. We've got AP5 coming in at 8 squad cost with 6 loadout value. Ezra Bridger coming in at 9 squad cost with 9 loadout value. Ben Rao coming in at 10 with 10 loadout value. That still gives you Sheathipede Fenn in a 5-ship list, somewhat comfortably coming in at 10. I remember some of the insane things old Fenn was able to do in second edition. I don't think he's as powerful now, but he's still really good for that I6 coordinate, and 10 points is pretty reasonable for him. And then you've got Zeb coming in at 7 with 4 loadout, by far the cheapest. Ooh, oh man, Fenn, all over the place. And then double brace yourself. We've got the T-65 X-Wing, which of course should be a very long list of pilots, and it is. We've got Battle of Yavin Biggs coming in at 13, Custom Biggs coming in at 10 with 7 loadout, Corin coming in at 12 with 13 loadout, Edrio 2 Tubes 11 with 16 loadout, Garvin Battle of Yavin is 12, Garvin Custom is 11 with 9 loadout, Jack Battle of Yavin is 12. That's the standard loadout. Custom Jack is 10 with 8 loadout, and then starter pack Jack is 13. And we've got Kendi Ideli Battle over Endor is 10. It's a nice cheap You got several 10-point options here already. Um, we've got Colby Sporado is this is a fun one. 11 with 14 loadout. Leven Tenza is 10 with 10 loadout. Luke Battle of Yavin is 16. Makes sense. He's a pretty pricey pilot there. Um, and then Luke Custom is 14 with 10 loadout. And then starter Luke is 16. So both standard loadout Lukes are 16. And we've got Thane 11 and 8 loadout. Battle of Yavin Wedge is 15. Battle over Endor Wedge is 16. Still a very good pilot. And then Wedge Custom is 14. Wow, that's budget with 13 loadout value, which is still enough for your proton torpedo if you choose to just give him that. Then we've got Wes Jansen coming in at 12 with 13 loadout, similar story to Wedge. And then Yendor, Battle over Endor, coming in at 12. And then the Blue Squadron Escort and Cavern Angel Zealot both are 10 with 10 loadout. And then the Red Squadron Veteran is 11 with 14 loadout. So let's see how many of these you get. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if you throw in the generics, you do have options to do 5 X-Wings. 3 named, maybe 4 named actually. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so you can do 3 named X-Wings. Biggs, Kendi, Battle over Endor, Leven Tenza, Battle over Endor. Excuse me, that's custom Leven. Pardon. And then, well, let's see, that was Biggs, Leven Tenza. I swear I saw another one. Yeah, there we go. And Jack, custom Jack. Oh man, it's hard to look at this many numbers. Sorry. So Biggs, custom Jack, Battle over Endor Kendi, and then custom Leven gives you 4 10-point T65 X-Wings, and then you throw in 1 generic and you can do 5 X-Wings. So 5X is still doable. I don't think it's a good list, but you can do it. And I do appreciate being able to do that. And that it's mostly named is nice too. You have an actual like squad. Um, I think that 5X being runnable, but being a little bit weak is one of the kind of standard, very, very, very raw, like totally unscientific, but one of the sort of general measurements for the health of the points spread. Like, can you run 5 T65s? If you cannot run 4, it's a little bit rough on the lower end. If you can run 6, it's a little bit cheap on the upper end. But 5 is, I don't think unhealthy. So I think that 5X certainly has a place in the game. And then we've got the Thai LN fighter. We've got Captain Rex coming in at 7 with 9 loadout. We've got Ezra coming in at 9 with 15 loadout. Oh, that's a 9-point TIE fighter, though. Then we've got Sabine coming in at 8 with 13 loadout. So Sabine in the TIE does have loadout again. Um, and then Zeb coming in at 6 with 5 loadout. But I don't think Sabine is as powerful at 8. She's still a good filler ship. Like 8 is still a low cost, but not maybe as tempting as she was at her heyday when she had 0 loadout and was like dirt cheap. Then looking at the U-Wing, we're almost done, folks. Benthic 2 tubes coming in at 12 with 14 loadout value. Bodhi Rook coming in at 11 with 10 loadout value. Cassian Andor coming in at 12 with 12 loadout. Hef Tobler 12 and 16 loadout. K2SO 11 and 11 loadout. It's not bad, a nice budget piece. And then we've got Magva, one of my favorites, at 13 with 17 loadout. Oof. Saw also 13 with 16 loadout. Blue Squadron Scout, the generic, coming in at 12 with 17 loadout, and Partisan Renegade at 11 with 12 loadout. Yeah, so you are getting pretty budget U-Wings because there are several 11-point options in there, and they're named. There are 2 named 11-pointers and then the generic. So you can do a lot with that. Those are good carriers for Leia. There's got some other options in there too. Then we get the VCX 100, the Ghost. Alexander Callis coming in at 17 with 14 loadout. So it's low loadout. Copper coming in at 16 with 12. That's lower. We've got Hera coming in at 18 with 19 loadout. Kanan coming in at 19 with 20 loadout. A little kind of steady creep up there. And we've got the Lethal Rebel generic 15 with 9 loadout. And incidentally, I don't think the Lethal Rebel is pipped. So you can run, you still only get 3 of those though. So I don't know that I would do that. Um, yeah, but anyway, it's there. All right. And that I'm looking at that loadout value. That 20 is pretty spicy. So Kanan can do a lot of different builds, especially with the force double crew gunner. Like you can do a whole lot of things there, and system like gunner, system, crew, force. Like gunner and turret, having those two together is really powerful. Gunner system is really powerful. Throwing in crew is really good. Like you're going to use up those 20 points real quick, but you have a lot of build options for the VCX, which I like to see. Um, as not maneuverable as it is, it's always an interesting ship to fly against, but can be devastating. I like where the VCX is in the game. You're not going to win worlds with a VCX, probably. Um, but it's cool. I enjoy having it around. Then for the YT 2400, the Outrider, we've got Dash Rendar 19 with 20 loadout. Then we've got Dash Rendar. I'm a little bit confused that there are two custom dashes. This just might be new for me. Freighter for Hire is 19 with 20 loadout value. Hotshot Mercenary is 20 with 20 loadout value. And then Dash Rendar standard loadout is 17. That's a nice budget piece. And then Lebo custom is 20 with 19 loadout. Wow. And then Lebo standard loadout is 16, which is pretty good. And then Lebo, the second custom, I need to look this up. I didn't realize there were two customs for both Dash and Lebo. Um, so Dry-Witted Droid is 20 with 19 loadout, and then Wisdom of Ages Lebo is 17 with 10, and then the Wild Space Fringer is 17 with 14 loadout. Still a scary ship, potentially being able to throw 4 dice out of a bow tie. Um, yeah, it's an interesting one. That's a tricky one to balance. The Outrider and the Outrider's always been tricky to balance, so don't envy any team balancing this thing. It's where it sees play, but isn't just completely running away with games. But I do hope to see it more, because you really don't see it very much, and it's a pretty cool ship. Then we've got finally the Z95 Headhunter, Aaron Kraken at 8, 9 loadout value, Lieutenant Blount at 9 with 17 loadout value, Bandit Squadron Pilot coming in at 6. I believe that is our record for cheapest, coming in at 6 with 5 loadout and a missile slot. And then we've got the Tala Squadron Pilot coming in at 8 with 16 loadout. I believe that means Han Solo at 20 is still our most expensive pilot in the Rebel Alliance faction. So there's Han at 20. I haven't seen anything else that is 20 or higher outside of Epic. We're not talking about Epic. It throw me off. And there's quite a few things that are quick. Like we're on the upper end of the point scale. Just to recap, the Rebel pilots that are pipped, there are no pipped Rebel pilots. So some of those generics could stand out as being pretty interesting. So I think the Outrider itself coming in at, what was it, 17? Yeah, 17. I mean, there's no reason to run more than one. Um, Yeah, I do. I like where the point system is at right now, just in my head, picturing out like where you can squeeze in the different combinations of points. Like if you 25 is half your list, so you can't do that. So if you have a 20-point ship, that's automatically putting you in more or less a 3-ship squad. Like you can't do a 4-ship with 20. I don't think it is possible to do 3 ships for 30 points. I don't think any of them are that low. Uh, well, maybe. I mean, yeah, you could potentially can, but it's not going to be good. It's like your 6-point bandit squadron. Um, I like that a Z95 is, I think, the cheapest ship. I think the next up there is going to be your the Hawk 290 generic. Oh no, Zeb is 6. So there's a few 6-cost pilots. Not a ton. Zeb in the tie is 6. Then you've got that Hawk 297, the Rebel Scout. Those are kind of the lower end pilots, like the really cheap stuff you can do. And then there's a Gray Squadron Bomber in the Y-Wing again at 7. So there's a little bit you can play with at the bottom end of the point spectrum to do an actual Rebel swarm, and then throw in something big and scary to go with that. So if you have 6, let's see, what is 50 divided by 7, just to go ahead and do it. And I am sure that people listening to this are going ahead and doing this in their heads faster than I can, but let's see, 50 divided by 7. So if you stick with 7, you can do a 7-ship list. So it is possible to do a full 8 squad with rebels. Yeah, because if you go a 6-point, you have 8. Um, see, 6 times 8 is 48. So it's right there. So you could do 2 sevens and then 6 sixes. Yeah, 2 sevens and 6 sixes should give you exactly 50. So you could do an 8-ship rebel swarm, but it would not be very good. Um, I'd love to see someone try that. That's rebels. We'll stop. We're going to do Empire next. Coming soon.